Well, hello. Welcome to, it's like phase 2. This is 20 minutes of gentle Pilates. So this is particularly if you might have maybe issues with the back or an injury. And if this is the first time you've come to it, you might want to try the 10-minute videos first. And now we're just moving on. So we're going to start off on the mat. What you might need, she says, moving over, is something like a towel to just support your forehead if you're lying on your front. So if you're supporting your forehead, you might want to place your forehead on the towel, and it might want to be behind your head if you're lying on your back. And it's just to make sure that we don't have sort of any dropping of that head forward on your front or really arching that. Can put a lot of pressure on that neck. So we are going to move on. Now, let's place this towel down. I'm going to start off in a lying down position on my mat. So I'm going to take my feet just roughly, she said I better get back a bit so you can see my feet, hip width apart. So when we're doing this, we're trying to keep all our joints in alignment. We're trying to keep that spine nice and long. So if we can, toes roughly at 12 o'clock on that clock face. And I'm just going to keep my knees bent as I come down into this lying down position. Now I'm going to let my head get into a comfortable position so I can feel that nice long line. I'm just going to see if I can relax my shoulders away from my ears, and I'm just going to lengthen through this spine. So the first thing I'm going to think about is just starting to just relax down into the mat. So then I'm going to relax my arms, and then we're going to think about looking up towards the ceiling. So you may be sort of looking at this like this for now. I'm going to let you just relax back and I'll talk you through it. Now we're going to place those hands just gently over those hip bones on those lower abdominals. And we're going to practice just tightening that belt, drawing up through that pelvic floor. So basically centering our core muscles. So I'm going to think about almost drawing my hip bones together. So sometimes I talk about tightening the belt. We're going to tighten the belt and we're going to tighten it as hard as we can. So we're going to go 100%. We're going to really tighten it to the max. And then we're going to relax. So we don't actually need to tighten it that hard. So we're going to look at about a third of the maximum. So if we're thinking about your belt, we're going to tighten it 10 notches. So we're really drawing in those lower abdominals, and then we're going to relax. Now, next time I'm going to breathe in to prepare. I'm going to tighten that belt to notch 5. So it's not quite as strong. And then we're going to relax. Good. Now, if you can, we're going to gently breathe in through your nose, and as you breathe out through your mouth, you're going to tighten that belt 2 or 3 notches. So it's active, but it's not at its maximum. And this is an endurance, these are endurance muscles. So their main role is to stop everything spilling out. So they're certainly going to be able to hold a light contraction for a length of time, but they may not be able to hold a strong contraction for long. Now, once we've got that position there, once the shoulders are relaxed, we're going to let those shoulder blades melt into the mat. And we're going to start off with a little pelvic tilt. So I want you to imagine that you have got a little tail, okay? And at the moment, the tail is just resting on that mat. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to just tilt this pelvis. We're just going to rock this pelvis, and we're going to push that tail so it's pointing up towards the back of your knees. And then we're going to relax it. It's going to rest back on that mat. We're not necessarily tilting the pelvis the other way, so the tail pushes down into the mat. We're just coming from that nice, relaxed, neutral spine, natural spine position into that more rounded position. Good. So this is called tilting that pelvis. Now, as we tilt, we're going to practice tightening that belt to notch 3, okay? So we're just going to tilt and relax. We're just going to tilt and relax. Now, what we're going to think about doing next is taking this tilt into that bridge position. So keeping those knees pointing up towards the ceiling, looking up towards the ceiling. We're going to breathe in gently to prepare. We're going to tighten this belt. We're going to tilt that pelvis. And now we're going to squeeze these bottom muscles, use the hamstring muscles in the back of the leg, and we're just going to lift that bottom. It's almost as if we're peeling this spine away from the mat, one little segment at a time. Now we're going to breathe in at the top. Make sure that belt is at notch 3 or 4, and we're going to come all the way back down. And imagine just pressing each little segment of the spine into the mat one at a time. Breathe in at the bottom. Okay, so you may find it takes you 3, 4, 5 times to actually get to your maximum range of this bridge. So just work it out in your own time. And we're going to use that breathing just to help control the movements. But as long as basically you're breathing out and not holding your breath, anything goes, okay? Especially if we're doing this very much just to strengthen the core muscles, mobilize the spine. Good. Just breathing out. And as you hold that position, just be aware of the shoulders. Be aware of those shoulder blades. Are you tensing up in the shoulders? Notice if you're pushing up into the ribs, because you'll feel a sort of dull ache in the lower back. See if we can really use the bottom, hamstring, back of the legs, rather than having to use that lower back. Good. Let's see if we can take one more of these. We're going to do about 8. Good. We're going to use 8 as a bit of a rule of thumb today. And then we're going to hold it there for a count of 8. Now you may find you can let one arm and the other arm come away from the floor. And it's just to make sure you're using the leg muscles rather than pushing down on those arms. And we're counting to about a slow count of 8. Then we're going to lower one arm, lower this arm. And again, imagine I've painted black paint striped down your back, and you're just making a line of black dots with each segment of your spine into the mat. And then we're going to see if we can bring one knee into the chest. We're going to bring the other knee into the chest. And you're just going to pull those knees in, really open up that lower back. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, sometimes I like to do a little move later on called rolling like a ball. And this is just the precursor to it. Just gently massaging that lower back into the mat. Now, we're going to take one at a time, one foot down and the other foot down. We're going to just walk the feet together, walk the knees together, and we're going to come into our hip rolls. So you notice I instantly move those hands out to the side. I'm still going to relax the shoulders, but we're going to make this belt-like muscle active. So tighten that belt to notch 3. And then you're just going to allow the knees to gently fall from side to side. Now, just see if you can allow these muscles here to control the movement. We're keeping the shoulder blades in contact with that mat. You might find that one hip bone just gently rolls away, but we want to make sure we're not pushing down. So just allow that lower back to mobilize. And just do it in time with your own breathing. And just really feel your way. And again, you can just gently go a little bit further if you feel comfortable. I sometimes think about starting with the knees at 12 o'clock and moving to 11 o'clock on that clock face, 1 o'clock. And when that feels comfortable, I'll go 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock and so on. Just moving in time with your feelings, how you feel, how that body feels to you today. And some days will be different to others. Now we're going to come back to center. We're going to take those feet hip width apart again. Okay. And we're going to bring these arms just to that nice comfortable position. So let's do a little bit of work for these abdominal muscles. So in the 10-minute series, we did the leg slides, okay, and they work better with socks, really. And we also did, on the second session, some single leg stretch with one leg in tabletop. So we're going to practice those now. So we're going to tighten that belt, find that neutral spine, and we're not going to let this lower back arch away from the mat as the knee comes up. That's what it'll want to do.
So we're going to find that neutral spine, tighten the belt to control the position of that trunk. Then we're going to bring one knee just above the hip, and we're going to imagine that we're balancing a glass of water on that shin bone. Okay, now all we're going to do is just ensure this lower back does not start to arch away from the mat. So hold that neutral spine. I find it helps to take one hand here and really draw that tummy button away from the hand. And we're just going to imagine lengthening that leg. Well, we're not imagining it, we're doing it. And coming back. So as we lengthen, we're going to breathe out. It's like breathing out into those ankles and breathing in to return. Now, as the foot comes further away, this is when the back wants to arch away from the mat. So you're going to have to really draw that tummy button down. Good. And we're just going to do 8 on this side. So we're breathing out and we're breathing in. If you get cramp in your foot, you may need to relax the foot and almost lengthen to your heel rather than lengthening to your toes. Okay, it sometimes happens, particularly when we start out with Pilates and we're not used to sort of pointing that toe. My toe doesn't point that well anyway. Good. And we're just going to take one more on this side. And we're going to bring it back to that tabletop. Now, we're going to control that position down, not letting that back arch. Good. Okay, so should we try the same on the other side? We do want balance with our workout. So if we work the left side, we want to work the right side. And if we work the front, we want to work the back. So again, now, if you're not sure about this movement or if you're finding it hard to control, just see if you can make that movement slightly higher with the foot. Okay, slightly higher. So it's as if you're pushing a button on the wall in front of you, and make that button a little bit higher. Okay, now as you get stronger, you might find you can make that button a little bit lower. Now really draw that tummy button away from the waistband of those trousers. Don't let this lower back slip up. Okay, so this is where the concentration comes in. But we've also got to focus on relaxing the shoulders, not letting the arms tense up and do the work. And it's much harder than it sounds to do that. So on number 8, we're going to bring it back again. And again, this time we're going to just draw that knee into the chest and we're going to bring another one in. Good, so again, just giving that back a little bit of respite. We can just gently hug those knees in. Good stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to take one foot down and I'm going to slide this foot away from center. So we're going to straighten out this leg. Now I'm going to draw this knee to the shoulder and then I'm going to gently draw that knee to the opposite shoulder. Good stuff. Okay, so we're getting a nice little stretch across that hip area. And I'm going to breathe out, relax into that stretch. Then I'm going to bring this back, bring it up. We're going to do the same on the other side. So nice and controlled. Everything flows. Nothing's hurried. Good. Okay. Now, let's see if we can take this knee to the opposite shoulder. So you're feeling that nice little stretch. You'll feel it roughly here. Okay. And we're going to relax. Good stuff. Okay, and then we're bringing it back, sliding it up, bringing it down. Good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just gently let the knees fall towards me and we're going to bring ourselves onto our side. So we didn't do much on the side in our 10-minute video, so I'm just going to do a couple of little things now. We are going to just gently push out these legs. So these hips are stacked. What we want to make sure of, and I'm just going to show you this angle, is if these heels come behind you, it almost sort of puts a lot of pressure on the back. So we're going to bring those heels just in line with that tailbone. Good stuff. There's a little fly on my mat and it was distracting me. Right, now you may want the towel, you may not, because what I'm going to do is straighten out my arm. I'm going to rest my head there. So we want that little orange between the chin and the chest. And I'm going to use this arm to support me. So the further it is away from me, sort of the more support it gives, but we want to try and relax the shoulder at the same time. So I'm going to be then drawing this tummy button away from the mat. So try and imagine that someone's trying to post a letter between your waist and the floor. Now, relax this shoulder, hips are stacked. All we're going to do is take a single leg raise and then we're going to float it down. Okay, so we're strengthening the little glutes. And we're also using these core muscles to balance you. So we're breathing out and we're breathing in. Good. We're breathing out and in. Now, as you get better at this, you may find drawing that tummy button in, you can float the lower leg. And we'll finish our 8 with that lower leg floated. If that's too much, take that leg back down and just take the last 2 with that leg on the floor. Good. We're not overreaching with this movement. Okay, just taking it to your point of tension, maybe even below. And then we're going to bend those knees. We're going to just take our towel now because we're going to take this arm there. So I'm going to pop that towel under my head now. Now relax those shoulders, palms on top of each other, hips are stacked. We're going to try and avoid these rolling. So imagine someone's clamped the hips in place. We're going to tighten that belt to notch 3 or 4, and then we're going to open that arm. This is our open door exercise. It's all about flexibility, the front of the shoulders and the chest. It's a lovely exercise for everyone. Okay. And we're breathing out. We're breathing in. I can feel how long it is since I've done this actually. So we're breathing out. So don't worry, as you follow the hand with your eyes, you may find that the hand goes further than you can actually follow with your head. Just take that hand as far as that feels comfortable, but don't force the head to go further. We're going to take one more of these. So we're doing about 5 of these. Breathing out. And we're going to breathe in and come back now. Let's straighten out those legs and bring ourselves onto our fronts. So you may want that little towel in front of the forehead just to even things out here a little bit. You may be comfortable without it. So whatever you feel comfortable. Now, we're going to draw that tummy button away from the mat. We're going to draw that tummy button away from the mat. Then we're going to slide these elbows so they're slightly lower than the shoulders. And the hands are a little bit wider than the mat. All we're going to do is tighten that belt. So imagine you're lying on a bed of hot coals and the bed of hot coals is burning your belly button. So you're just trying to draw that belly button away from the mat. We're going to tighten these glutes. And we're going to gently, gently lift this chest away from the mat, tighten those glutes, and then slowly, slowly bring it back down. So we're going to work the back muscles. So relax the shoulders, tighten that belt, lift that chest. Notice we're not lifting the chin. I'm not looking up. I'm looking at the spot, exactly the same spot on my mat as I lift that chest. And down. We're not trying to overreach. Good. We're just lifting that chest. Good. Trying to keep those feet on the floor, tightening those bottom muscles, drawing that tummy button away from the mat. And as we lengthen, as we lift that chest, we're breathing out. And as we're coming back down, we're breathing in. We're going to take 2 more. Breathing out. Breathing in. Good. Not overreaching, not overdoing it. We're going to come all the way back down. Now we're going to just do the opposite movement to the extension movement we've just been doing. So we're going to look straight down onto that mat. We've got that nice long line, crown of the head through to that tailbone. Now I'm going to tilt that pelvis, but at the same time, I'm going to push down into the palms of those hands. I'm going to look towards my knees and draw that lower back towards the ceiling. And then we're going to release. Good. Into into that neutral spine. Long arms, shoulders drawn away from the ears. We're going to do 4 of these. We're going to stretch into that cat stretch and back. Good. And again. Is that 4? Well, if it's not, it's 3. Now we're going to walk ourselves back down onto this mat. I've got that towel underneath my forehead. This time, I'm going to do a little bit of work for that upper back. So keeping that long line, this time relaxing those bottom muscles, I am going to squeeze those forearms away from the mat, and then I'm going to slowly lower down. So I'm going to breathe out, and I'm going to breathe in. So we're working those muscles around the shoulder blades, that upper back. These get very weak, very lengthened, so we're really helping them out here. Keep drawing that tummy button away from the mat. Don't be tempted to tense that bottom out. It wants to take over. We're going to take one more and then relax those arms down. Now on this next one, we're going to just see if we can take those swimming legs. So this is again working the glutes, a little bit of lower back, but we want to make sure that we're just keeping everything nice and stable. So draw that tummy button away from the mat. Okay, relax those shoulders. Imagine those hip bones just melting into the mat. Now think of lengthening this leg towards the wall behind you rather than lifting. So we're lengthening, squeezing that bottom. We've got 4 more. Relax those shoulder blades. Let that head relax. Let that face relax. Breathing out and in. Good. Breathing out and in. We're going to take one more on this side. Allow those shoulders to relax and let those hip bones melt into the mat. Then we're going to change sides. So what tends to happen is we quite often do that. We sort of bend at the knee rather than squeezing from here. So see if you can lengthen from the hips. Good. Just relax the shoulders. Tighten that belt. Don't let those hips wobble. Keep both hip bones in contact with the mat. Just got 4 of these. We're breathing out as we move away from center. Breathing into return. Really controlling that flow back down. We're just going to take 2 more. And we're going to take 1 more. And bring it down. Now, we're going to push ourselves up. We're going to just see if we can just push that tail between our legs. Come down into that child's pose position. Good. And we're going to relax. Take that breath in. Take that breath out. And then we're going to bring ourselves into this kneeling position. We're going to come down and just take a seated position. I was just looking at the time then. My 20 minutes has gone a little bit longer, but that's okay. Now we're going to sit up nice and tall. You may need to sit on top of this towel to stop yourself slumping forward. So what we're going to do is going to sit up nicely. We're going to just come into this prayer position, chin in line with that sternum. We're going to zip up through that pelvic floor, and we're going to take this gentle twist one way. We're going to come back to center. We're going to take a gentle twist the other way. Good. We're going to come back to center. So those shoulders are relaxed. Good. Head relaxed. Face relaxed. Keep drawing that tummy button towards the spine now. Keep tightening that belt, but not that maximum. Good. So we're getting a little bit of rotation.
Then we're going to bring it in and we're going to just push the feet this way so that we can do our sideways movement again. So again, we're going to stack those hips, one on top of the other. We're going to draw that tummy button away from, where are we drawing it from? The mat. So you may find if you're quite stable in this position that you can take the arm here. I definitely have to use this and make sure those heels aren't behind you and putting pressure on that back. So we're just going to take 8. So with that beautiful flow, shoulder relaxed, drawing that tummy button away from the mat, breathing out, breathing in. Remember, you may find you can float that lower leg. Okay, you may find that's too unstable and you just want to focus on that lower leg down and floating that top leg. Good. Okay, so we've got that nice relaxed neck, looking straight ahead. We've got 2 more of these. Breathing out into that ankle. We're going to bring it down. And then we're just going to bend those knees into that 90-degree angle. Hips are still stacked. You might find you want to bring that towel now underneath that head. Now just tighten that belt. Keep those hips nice and stable. And we're going to open that door. So don't try and push too hard too soon. We're going to open that door. Follow that hand with the head, but don't worry if you can't follow it all the way. Good. So we're just going to open and gently control it shut. Good. We're going to open and bring it back. So we're just going to take one more. And bring it in. So we're going to come onto our front again. I'm going to bring myself up into that kneeling position. So we've got that nice long spine, hands underneath the shoulders, long neck. We're going to take that cat stretch and then we're just going to move into this child's pose position. Lovely. We're going to take a breath in, breath out, and then that is our, well, slightly over 20 minutes. That is our 20 minutes of gentle Pilates. The things that I haven't got in there, there's not a huge amount of flexibility of the hamstrings, but as we build that session, we'll bring that in along with a bit of hip flexor flexibility. But that is our next stage after the 10 minutes. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to end the stream now.